Hi, everyone. This is the VOLTA meeting, which is combined with the VOLTA Stabilization Brigade for May 3rd to it's March 3rd, 2020. I'm Zach. I'm covering for Julie, who's off doing some training. And so Julie also made the agenda for us today. Just know that these meetings are public and recorded, and we post them to YouTube after the meetings are done. So the agenda for today's meeting, we're going to review all the non-brigade related JIRAs, look at the all discussed JIRAs, and then go through the Stabilization Brigade JIRA items. So let's start the non-brigade related JIRAs. We look at in JIRA, the items we have, VOLTA 2664. Avoid overriding the VLAN filter tasks in queue. This is Mahir. This has been resolved. Is Mahir on? Can he speak to this? So this looks like it was a change with the tech profiles about the queues and VLANs. It looks like it's been resolved. There's a Garrett change that has been closed, so that's good. Other items we have, VOLTA 2672, DHCP2 relay should relay DHCP NAC and DHCP decline messages. So Amit reported this. Nobody has been assigned this message. So this is inside the ONOS apps. Does anyone, and it's assigned, it's actually assigned, this is a SIBA epic that it's part of, which is all the other ONOS apps tend to be a part of the SIBA epic. Has anyone looked at this, or is there anyone who could pick this up? Should this be assigned to the VOLTA FCAPS brigade?
I don't know that this is really an FCAPS thing.
Okay.
I mean, this seems like it's DHCP handling.
Yeah, it looks like these are a couple messages that the app is not correctly forwarding.
Correct.
So this is typically, or technically, an ONOS story then. Is that right?
Right. Is this the wrong epic for it? And is there a better epic than the FCAPS from ONOS? Because I know that, I think it was assigned here because there is other DHCP counter items in FCAPS.
Yeah, I think it belongs in some other app related epic. So if we could figure out if there's an epic for, workflows or ONOS apps, or we'll have to look and find a place for it. But this doesn't seem like the right place because I don't think it's FCAPS.
Okay. Scott Mateo, could you categorize this properly? VOLTA 2672.
Yes.
Yeah, we can take a look.
Okay, thank you. And last item we had was VOLTA 2684, intermittent errors in the VOLTA Go unit tests, which you reported, Scott.
Yeah, I'm actively working on this. I think maintenance is where it belongs. So I'm still trying to get to the bottom of what's causing it. I'm still seeing problems. I'm seeing even different problems than the one that's listed there. Andrea did suggest that I pull in some recent patches to VOLTA Go from yesterday, and I did that. But even after that, I'm still seeing issues. So that's still under investigation. It's maintenance. It should have a stabilization tag on it if it doesn't.
Yeah, move it into stabilization.
Okay.
Is this some kind of loading test, or it's just some logical error that is happening?
No, this is just a unit test, so it's not under load. It's just happening in unit tests. Sometimes the unit tests succeed, sometimes they don't. I have not figured out yet whether the timeout means that something is taking too long, or the timeout means that an expected state change just never happened. And we also don't know if this is some problem with the unit test or it's some problem with the code itself. So it's kind of open investigation right now as to what's going on.
Okay.
How do you reproduce it locally, Scott? Because I tried to reproduce it so many times, it just doesn't happen locally for me.
Well, it was weird. It happened for me, you know, like 2 out of the first 4 times I tried it yesterday, and then it wouldn't happen again, with no changes whatsoever. Well, I did add some additional diagnostic stuff to the test, so maybe my touching the test managed to change the test. I do plan on trying to do it again, but I've been basically putting it in a bash loop that just runs it over and over and over again until it fails.
Is this just one test, or are you just doing make test over and over?
I'm just doing make test, so I could go down to just the one test that would reproduce it faster. There's actually multiple tests where I've seen it fail, maybe 2 or 3 different tests. And there's another test, there's something about testing concurrent state changes that I'm starting to see fail intermittently as well. So the concurrent one, I could certainly see how that would be more touchy if it is trying to do multiple things at once, simulating more of a load. But this one here seems like it should be a simple state change test. And but anyway, I'm looking at it. Invite anyone's help if you want to help, but I'll keep looking at it.
Yeah, for the concurrent one, you can just increase the timer there, because I saw that before. Just the time that is wait, it just so short. Like locally, it will work if you have a good machine. It will always work. But on Jenkins, if things slow down a little bit, then it will always fail.
Okay, yeah. So maybe the concurrent one is just a red herring, and it's still this one that's listed there in the issue that seemed like the more serious one. We would see this blow up sometimes multiple times during one of the Jenkins runs, and like I say, I saw it blow up at home, and then it stopped reproducing for whatever reason. So
and you're running make test, so it actually is running inside the container, not locally in your.
Yeah, I'm running make tests. You know, I can try testing it out. I'll try different ways I'll continue to try different ways to see what's going on with it. I've added some stuff to it so that when the timeout does happen, I'm hoping that I can get it to print out, what the state of the devices and logical devices are, so we can look at the state of these objects and see what it's hung up on, or if there's something else wrong. But it may be one of these things that does depend a lot on the environment that it's run in, because it was happening to us on Jenkins a lot the other day, like 3 out of 4 times on Friday. And also maybe the patch that Andrea mentioned has reduced the frequency that it occurs, but perhaps not eliminated it. So I'll keep looking into it.
Have you tried reducing the resources available to Docker?
That's a good idea. I'll try to do that.
All right.
Okay, thank you, Scott. I think that those are all the items that are non-brigade items to discuss. So back to the agenda. I'll discuss JIRAs. If I look at the brigade, we don't have anything in the needs attention list. So that's good. It looks like our number of unresolved tickets here is going down. This is looking pretty good. And with that, those are all the general meeting discussion items. I think the next item we had was looking at stabilization brigade JIRA items, which I have the stabilization brigade dashboard here, and then the agenda for that. Is David Bainbridge on?
He is on.
You want to start discussing this?
I'll just go over the basics real quick, then we go straight through the JIRAs. Basically, test coverage isn't much changed, although we did see a nice jump in the OLT adapter, open OLT adapter. That's great. I did remove the stabilization, not the stabilization, the simulated adapters from the unit test coverage report, so that's out of there. We're down to 31 issues, so we're down a bit, which is great. Open issues in Jira, 4 unassigned. We resolved 14, created 8 since last time, and we have 28 open patch sets, so our patch set list is down as well. That's kind of the summary of what's happening in the stabilization brigade. In terms of the JIRAs, if we want to walk through those, we can go down back to the other view, Zach, and just kind of see if there's updates on those. Oh shoot, I usually go to pull out all the ones that are, I guess we can go through the list on the right. Those are the not done ones, huh? Just go down that list, I guess. 31, how many are on that list? Yep, those are the 31.
Yeah, those are the 31.
All right.
Do we want to start from the top? These are listed in priority.
Yeah, I just want to, let's get the highest priority ones ticked off first.
Okay.
I don't know if Matt's on or not.
OpenONU adapter reconcile, which Matt is working on. It looks like there are Garrett reviews for this.
I'm here. Sorry, I had to unmute myself twice. Yeah, I'm working on it. There's the OpenOMCI PyVolta MIB storage. I have a review out for that. Long story short, the review for that returns the ability to have persisted MIB storage using a lazy writer version of the in-memory storage. Been testing with it, performs pretty well. Basically, a dirty bit is set, and after some amount of time, the whole object is committed to storage. So that part works out pretty well. The issues I'm working through now are with the adapter itself during reconciliation. It keeps track of some of its own configuration, gem ports, tech profiles, TCONs. Some of its assignments are tracked internally, and those need to be either persisted or find some other way to determine if it's already been persisted in OpenOMCI and use that. So working through it, but this change in 2 to 3 weeks, I'm kind of on the fence. It's a little risky. There's a lot of stuff I'm going to have to change in the core part of the adapter to kind of get this to work. So again, it's the OpenOMCI part, pretty straightforward. The adapter itself, reconciliation, there might be some more back and forth there.
Can we separate those two?
We can. I mean, the PyVolta change can go in and basically just not use the new lazy writer storage, and the adapter can just proceed along as it is today. It basically wouldn't reconcile, but it doesn't reconcile today either. So we're not really out anything. It's just when the adapter changes go in, there's now some checking and handling of reconcile that says, oh, if I'm in a reconcile state, let's do these things.
Yeah.
Worst case, reconcile still doesn't work, which it doesn't work today. So we're not really, any worse off, but it is, touching a few places that haven't been touched in a while.
Okay. I mean, because we're also going to run into the failure scenarios, right? Where partially lazy written and then something crashes, and what happens when it comes back up? Does it know that it's only partially written?
Yeah, I mean, that scenario, killing it mid-write, yeah, I had to find some way to test that. But yeah, as it is right now, the lazy writers are deferred to thread, and every instance in OMCI has its own looping call on a sleep that says if the dirty bit is set, persist it, and if not, it's a no op. But they're all deferred to thread.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, timing wise, yeah, I mean, reproducing that might be tricky.
Thanks.
So long story short, working on it, but it's tricky.
Okay, thanks, Matt. The next highest priority item is OLT reboot with EdgeCore. Chaitri is working on this. And it looks like there's a bunch of subtasks, and some are in progress and some are to do. I think is Chaitri on?
Yeah, I'm here. So with respect to this story, there are 2 things left out. One is hard reboot and soft reboot of OLT. So I'm working on the proposal for these two. So there may be a slight deviation in working procedure with respect to the current code. So maybe in a day or two, I'll submit the proposal in Notepad++. So once that is agreed, I'll start coding on the same.
Okay, thanks. Let's go on. The next item was the intermittent errors in the VoltaGo unit test, which we already discussed with Scott. The next is an epic cluster deployment in HA. This is assigned to Ken. It looks like most of these are in a to-do state, and we just discussed the OpenONU adapter reconcile. Some of these are these not going to these two other items that are in the epic that are not done? Are these?
I don't think we're going to be doing those
Yeah.
for this release.
Yeah, I think
No,
they're
we
in the
won't.
future.
So
Yeah.
we can actually move those out or mark those as not fixed or whatever it won't do.
Okay. Alrighty. I'll take a note to do that. The next item was Volta 2008. Start Volta containers in specific order and run the sanity test. Gerald is assigned this. Is Gerald on? I don't think so. This looks like it's a testing automation related.
Yeah, but what's the point?
The point is containers can start in any order, and the system should be able to reconcile it. Similar to the failure test, right? Any container can fail anytime, and the system should be able to recover.
Yeah, agreed. But yeah, okay.
And so it's just one of the test cases. I'm not sure I'd call this a high priority at this point, or I guess it's medium, but the test team, I'd leave the test team the ability to prioritize this, but just needs to get done.
Okay, it's in progress. There aren't any Garrett changes, but we'll. I hope this will be covered in the test automation brigade meeting. Next item is the alarm ONU ITU pond statistics. Damalio's working on this.
I'm not sure why this is the stabilization tag on it.
Should this be moved out of stabilization? Should I just remove the tag?
I think so. Yeah.
Is this FCAPS? Yeah.
Yeah, it's FCAPS. It's in the epic already, so it's not a stabilization issue.
Okay. Should that also happen to the Volta 2008, which is a...
That goes to the test brigade, I would assume.
Okay, so I'm going to remove that stabilization from that. Okay.
While we're at it, there may be some bugs in the bug dashboard that might not have stabilization that should. So the other direction may be true.
Okay.
Fair enough.
The next item was the Volta 2644 adapter core device handler go child device lost logs error but continues processing. So there's a ticket, there's a Garrett review for this, but Chatri, did you have some comments on this?
I haven't got any review comments for this passage, so it was out of date. Just replaced the passage just now, so hopefully it should get merged.
Okay, and so this changed the, okay, so do you need people actively to review this? It looks like it's a pretty small change. It's what, 3 lines?
Yes.
Okay, so it's just changing error levels. That looks.
Yep, that should be pretty easy to get through.
Okay. And the next one was also, it's 2673, which is also yours, Chetri. Verify that the ONU devices are actually deleted in the test case, test enable and delete all device. And it looks like something has been merged on this, so it's resolved.
Yeah.
So
Just
great.
updated it. Yeah.
Great. Reload the page. Get updated items. The next item, Volt 2317, if device enable or disable fails, subsequent attempts to disable the device return without error. This is assigned to Scott. So is this an operational issue, Scott, or is it a logic error?
Just a second, refreshing my memory on this one. You know, this, I would want to verify this still exists. So I think we have talked about state changes, and I think work has gone in. The genesis behind this was that if you did a disabled device, you would get back an error. VOLTHA would mark it down as disabled. And then if you did another one, it would not error. And that seemed to me at the time to be inconsistent behavior. If you issue an error once, you ought to issue it again. But I think, yeah, the bottom of my comment is, seems confusing, but verify if this is actually considered correct behavior. So this is was something to discuss, and I think may have been addressed by some of the state change stuff. But we can revisit at some point.
Okay, I marked it as verify. So let's if you take a look at that, or if you need someone else to look at it, then let's do that.
Yeah, I can take a look and then raise the issue for discussion if I think it's warranted.
Okay, thank you, Scott. The next item, Core needs to track and report on reachability of adapters from Core. This is also yours, Scott.
Yeah, so I think it was either Ken or I think it was Ken. Maybe it was Kent. Sometimes I forget. But yeah, there was a feature put in that will track the last communication time to an adapter. I think this was just making that feature report. Scroll down. I think there's a comment that says how I was going to address it. Yeah, so once that patch got merged, that was last communication. After this, we would have certain ways of marking the adapter as unreachable and pending removal, and then we would eventually remove it if, after several hours, the adapter never showed back up.
I think we're going to postpone this to post 2.3 at this point.
Okay, I will change this to future.
What do you think, Scott?
Yeah, I think future is fine. I stopped working on this and started taking on bugs instead. Actually, I should say I never started working on this. I just immediately switched to taking bugs before I started this one. But yeah, I agree. This seems like a low. It's not a feature anybody needs to make things work. So it's future.
Okay, thanks, Scott and David. The next item was Vol 2198. OF agent Python does not handle non-existent controllers well. Chip reported this, has a proposed patch. I took this on as being assigned, but currently there's some discussion as to whether we're going to use OF agent Go or OF agent Pi in the 2.3 release. There's some testing being done around that. Is there any feedback on that testing? This also, the reason I took this on is I was working on the OF agent Pi 2 to 3 conversion, which turned out to be kind of hairy because the interaction with the LoxyGen library involves using binary versus Unicode strings, and so I have to go through that manually and make sure that all the strings are correctly cast to be binary strings when they interact with that library, which was a lot of work. And if we're not going to be using OF agent Pi, I'd rather avoid doing that work.
Yeah, I think give us another week and we'll make that determination.
Okay.
So keep this around for now, but let's move on to the next.
Yeah, I'll hold off on this until that decision is made. Okay, moving on. VOLTHA 2671, OpenOLT container restarts after reconnection to a failed Kafka broker. Girish Kumar reported this. Girish, are you on?
Yeah, I'm actually trying to, I think, work on this, trying to understand where the problem is. So issue is that once it connects to a Kafka container after it has been restarted, it is a Kafka running in cluster with 3 instances. but it is not able to recover. It restarts after becoming unhealthy. So the problem is with the consumer, the consumer go routine which is running, right? It is not able to recover from the error. Trying to, I think, I'm working on analyzing that, and I think I'm not sure, but when I will provide a fix, but yeah, working on it and trying to understand where the problem is. And the specific error, you can see people have reported that, and there's maybe some issue with the offset which is being used. People have reported if you use a geo offset, it happens. So need to, I think, work on that area.
Okay, can I mark this as in progress?
Oh, it is, yeah, okay, it is in progress. I think I started working on it today only. So
okay, thank you. Alrighty, the next item, DHCP succeeds even after removal of the subscriber from ONOS. Girish Gaudra is working on this.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, so I had a fix for this yesterday, and a couple of runs showed that the issue was resolved, but I'm working with Suchitra to, make more runs in nightly tests and see that this issue is indeed resolved. The issue turned out to be that on flow removal, the rules, the accelerated VLAN tagging rules on the ONU were not actually removed. So that's how the DHCP used to get trapped even when the flows were actually removed. I should have more updates tomorrow after today's nightly tests. And I'll submit a patch too for this one.
Okay, I marked this as in progress. Does this need to be stabilization, or can it just be handled in the test brigade?
No, I think it belongs to.
Yeah, I think it belongs to stabilization brigade.
Okay. Alrighty, thank you, Girish. The next item was VOLTHA 2637, address error logging as per new methods. This was reported by Humera. Nobody has taken this on.
What does this even mean?
What it means is this is the OpenOLT adapter.
So there's a patch.
Is it the OpenOLT adapter that we're talking about?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Given.
So the errors were reworked in OpenOLT adapter a week or so ago, and so that this is, I think, just extending some of that work to some additional areas.
Okay. So do we need to verify it, or what's the? Or does this get related in a duplicate of something else?
It's not a bug, right? It's an improvement.
I don't know. I'd have to look at the. I'll have to look at the comments on the. Assign it to me, and I'll take a look at it and decide what to do with it. How's that?
Okay. Thank you, David. All right. The next item was Andrea, 2641. Flow out or remove errors from OpenOLT adapter are not propagated back to read-write core. So if you flow out or remove on the OLT device, it's not propagated. Is Andrea on? I don't think he is. So this means that errors are not reaching ONOS if there's a wrong state in case there's a flow out or remove error. Girish reported this. Do you have any other comments on this, Girish?
No, I think it's pretty much it. So there is an inconsistent state at ONOS if the flow fails to add on the device. So that's it.
So where do we expect this error to be reported in the core? Would it be reflected in like a device state of some sort?
Yeah. So the device. So basically, the logical flow is actually decomposed to the ONU and the OLT adapters. So finally, the composite logical flow should be marked as failed at ONOS if one of the decomposed device flows is failed. So it should first, update the device table and then the logical device table and finally the ONOS.
This kind of goes back to where's who does all the retries, right? As long as VOLTHA is telling ONOS that flows have been added and always reporting that, not necessarily reporting what's on the device, ONOS won't retry. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So,
Yeah, this is part of the working transactions where we'll send a request to the adapters. The adapters will come back, says sorry, we can't add the flows. Then the core will delete those flows and report that to owners.
So Andrea had a related ticket here, 2692, which is VOLTHA core does not allow removal of pending add flows. So this looks like it's also another to-do item. And and Andrea gave some process for trying to recreate this. So
I've not seen any command to actually delete flows in the core.
In the VOLTHA core?
Yeah. I'm not even sure if it's part of the APIs or not.
No, I think he means that if ONOS tries to delete the flow, it doesn't actually get removed or something like that. I'm not sure. I haven't read through the description.
Oh, okay.
Okay, as both
I'll work with Andrea on this one. I planned on picking up this one, so Andrea has picked. So I think I'll work with him to, get some progress on this one.
Okay.
By the way, do anyone has any comments about this one? I don't think we discussed much.
Yeah, so what? Who's detecting the error? Is the OLT adapter or the ONU adapter, or both?
Yeah, this one is for the OLT adapter. So OLT adapter knows when a flow fails to add on the device. So it has to report it back to the read-write core.
So the device being the ONU or the OLT?
OLT, yes.
The
In this
OLT.
case, OLT.
Okay.
But it could apply to both. I think this gets back to a bigger discussion we had about whose job is it to retry. And right now, I know the ONU at least will just keep trying if it failed. Whereas I think we had discussed, try it once, and if it failed the one time you tried, let it go back to ONOS and let ONOS do the retry.
Yeah. I think there's probably going to be a bigger discussion after 2.3 on how on call it flow authority.
Just one comment on this one. Should we treat this as a bug or a new feature? Because I don't think we ever built this.
It's a big bug. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a bug. Effectively, VOLTHA isn't returning the right state.
No, in some cases it's pretty simple. For example, the HSIA flows or the data path flows. So it is split in two tables. So one of them goes to the OLT device and one of them goes to ONU device, or the other way around, depending on the direction. But some flows, like the trap flows, I think they are sent to both the adapters right now, as part of the new change that was implemented. So if it successfully adds on the OLT adapter but fails to if it successfully adds on the ONU adapter but fails to add on the OLT adapter, so should this be, in this case, I don't know, it probably gets a little messy on the core side, because on one device table you see that it's successfully added, on another it's not. And but the how should it reflect on the logical device table? It should be marked as failed, correct?
Well, it will be removed from the logical device table, and by removing it from the logical device, it will automatically go and try to remove it on the device itself.
Okay.
Sorry, but removing it from the core won't solve the problem, right? Because ONOS is going to try to repush it again. So we have to report to ONOS that this flow has failed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so,
there would be one. Yeah.
But we want ONOS to push again. ONOS will continue to reconcile or try to reconcile. I think what, at least from my perspective, we want reconciliation to happen in one place, i.e. ONOS is the authority of what flows should be on the device.
Right, but we also need to report what failed, right? So I mean, if he
Yes.
keeps trying it and it keeps failing, someone needs to intervene somehow, right?
I mean, that would reflect as a pending add flow that just stays pending add in ONOS, I'd imagine.
That's what I would expect. I can't remember in the conversation in the past if we said ONOS actually has a failed state for flows or not.
Yeah, I thought there was some configuration. It was a conversation a while ago, but I thought there was some configuration to whether pending add and retrying versus pending add and gave up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that gets resolved at ONOS, not below.
Yeah, that's right. I think in the past I have done both, but mostly in the context of groups. If a group failed to add for whatever reason, we have tried it for 3-4 times and then quit. It just stays in a pending add state then, and we don't send any more. Because sometimes what happens is in the hardware, if you're in a bad state, then no matter how many times you try to push the same thing, it's not going to work. It's just going to cause lots of log messages that show the errors. Retries only help in the case where it's transient state. So, like say a flow is pointing to a group, but you send the flow and the group is not ready yet, so it fails. So if you retry, by that time the group is there, so now the flow will succeed in adding. But if there's something bad state in the hardware, no matter how many times you try, it's not going to work. So, but anyway, it's important to report it. So I think that's what this bug is about, to report it back to ONOS, and which we don't do right now. The core sort of fires it into the adapters and then reports to ONOS that things have been added. So if it doesn't succeed, then later on it should come back and say that, no, it didn't actually get added. If people think it's going to be a big story, we might think about pushing it out to the future. Not in VOLTHA 2.3. I don't know. What do people think?
I'm not ready to push it out because, again, this is if ONOS says the wrong state of flows and they're not being retried or reconciled somewhere, the state is, the whole system is just, something's going to not work and people aren't going to know why.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's good for debugging. So I agree. I mean, we can keep it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a fundamental feature. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So what's the decision here? Not remove the flow from the logical device table and just let ONOS know that, and ONOS just marks it as failed and nobody retries. So
well, I would think if we move it from the logical device table, that would be the right thing, because ONOS will see that it thought it pushed down a flow. It's not in the device, and therefore it's going to make the decision of whether to repush again.
For some reason,
Okay.
David, when I was looking at kind VOLTHA yesterday,
Yeah.
did you allow extraneous flows in ONOS? There is a configuration that allows extraneous flows, but I'm not sure it's being used.
I don't know if kind VOLTHA's got that set up or not, to be honest. At one point it may have, because there was, if we're going to synthesize with a soft switch to actually pass traffic, that was required because it was using controlling a soft switch too. I don't know if it's set up in kind VOLTHA right now or not, to be honest.
Okay, I'll look into that. Thanks. Let's move on.
Okay, the next item we had was if a device, VOLTHA 2317, if a device enabler disable fails, subsequent attempts to disable the device return without error. Actually, no, we are beyond this, or it got reordered.
Yeah, I think something got reordered behind the scenes.
It renewed. Okay. Where are we?
I think the documentation, one after the documentation.
Okay. So documentation, there's still some documentation items here. I know that some other newer documentation fixes have gone in and that we're publishing docs properly, but this still needs to be addressed. This is on my plate, so, but it's low priority. We'll deal with it by the end of release. The next item was 2144. Adapter registration is not working with the Broadcom OpenOM CIO new adapter. Gamze is working on this.
No, this one has been around for a while. This is a condition that Gamze could see, or at least saw one time. She pushed a change, but people weren't happy with that.
Okay.
And we were asking her, if you scroll down, you'll see it in the comments. She saw it rarely, but she saw it once. Excuse me. And excuse me. We asked her, but she hasn't responded to this. I'm almost in the place where we just say cannot reproduce and move on.
So you asked the question at the end, and was that January 7th was the last time?
Yeah. There's no response from her. That was only after a month after Ken asked her something.
Do we know if Gamze is still working on the project?
She is in the multicast brigade, but yeah, I don't know. I'll ask her one more time, and if I don't get anything, I'm just going to close this as cannot reproduce.
Yep.
I mean, there's many thousands of times between all the Jenkins testing and all the regression testing. I hadn't seen it come up once. So, yeah, if there's a specific scenario that causes it, it'd be good to know. But boy, it must be pretty specific.
But
Yeah.
the thing is, you have to actually go look for this, isn't it? I mean, there's an error message somewhere in the logs, and we're not necessarily, I mean, in the thousands of times that we're doing regression tests, we're not actually going looking for this.
I mean, that's something to push at the test brigade too, right? They should, scrub the log for anything that says error and at least capture that somewhere so someone can look at it.
Yeah, I thought there was something I had seen in one of the reports that had some of the greps for errors and things like that.
Because that'll help us clean up logging too.
Yeah, it's already there, David.
Oh, thank you. So I can just go like at a test run and look at it.
Actually, it collects the entire errors from the entire logs and then displays it as one file. It's not per test case. I mean, we could enhance it per test case and then print the errors too, but right now we don't have that.
If you could just, yep, that's fine. Could you just point me at a link where I can find one? I'm just curious right now.
Yeah, sure. I can do that.
Thanks.
Okay, so sorry, I was going to bring this back up with Gamze, and we'll see if we can reproduce it. The next item was VOLTHA 2535. OLT disable enable throws error in Ethernet NI port if it is in the disabled state only. Kishore's been working this. This is in progress. There's some output, and there are 2 merged reviews. Has this been dealt with? Is Kishore on?
Maybe Amit knows something about this.
I would think that this is done, but the Jira has not been moved because the code is merged.
Okay, you can close it, Jack.
Okay. Will resolve as done. Alrighty, that's great. The next item was VOLTHA 2612. Remove logging of errors when a method returns a non-nil error. There aren't any patches assigned to this. Go best practice to log an error message if function returns a non-nil error. This is
yeah. You able to hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead, Garrett.
Yeah. I'm actually working on it. I think done with around 40% of the changes, and I stumbled upon the flow manager. So there were many changes. So that time I just stopped and looking at other things. So probably we'll jump back to that and try to close it up this week.
So Rob, you said you were going to bring an intern in at some point to help with some of the logging. This is something, and this is low priority, something they could jump on too, I think.
I know, but we have him working on scale things right now.
Okay.
All the Jenkins jobs that we creating for doing scale testing is basically on him right now.
Okay. Because again, this is a low priority in terms of features and bugs.
I know. So if we get to it before 2.3, that'll be good. But I mean, it's not a big deal if we don't get to it in 2.3 either. That's why it's marked low.
Yeah.
We can move it to future if you want.
Other than it personally offends me, but yeah. No.
So I guess Girish is part of the way through this. So just update us as you get work done, or if it looks like it's going to be a bigger problem, or if it needs to be split up, Girish.
Yeah, sure. I think I need to work on it for 1 or 2 days. I think I have to constantly work on this for 2 days, and I think it should be done. Just that I think number of code changes are more, but the changes are straightforward. So.
Okay, thank you. The next item, the 2619 level to log level should return an error in case of an invalid parameter. This is Rohan. So this is related to the change from using integers to text to specify the log level. This is in progress. I'm assuming this is a change. This is a VOLTHA libgo change.
I guess Zohan is not on the call, but I can probably talk about it because I had discussed it with Zohan. So I was looking at this actually involves basically converting the log level which is stored in log package into a string log level. And as I was looking at the code, right, we found out that it's not possible to set the internal log level with an invalid value, because whenever we try to set, right, the value, right, it would go through a set of checks, and the internal log level cannot be invalid. So we thought, I think I was not too sure why this particular GIA was created, because we found that value cannot be invalid because it would have been set through some checks already.
So this isn't validating input. This is validating after it's been propagated through the system.
Yes. So because this method, the input to this method for which we are trying to do, this method takes the internal value which is stored in the memory within the JEP logger.
The assumption, the assumption is that the internal value is always correct because it would have been validated before it was set in the first place. So it could never get to an invalid state. So this function can never fail. Is that kind of the reasoning you're describing?
Yeah.
Let me take a look at this one again.
Yeah.
I didn't see his comment, so I'll respond to that one.
Yeah, sure, please. Yeah. Although this is a different method, I think, which is log level to level, I think that may be the one you may be, I think, referring to, just to have a look at it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Moving down, VOLTHA 2639, make errors a common package in the OpenOLT adapter. This is assigned to Thomas, I believe. Currently, it's in the adapter core. There's a package, or there's a Garrett review here, which has been validated, but no one has reviewed. Is Thomas on, or can someone comment on this? Is this ready to be reviewed and possibly merged?
I'll have a look at this today. Is this a recent patch?
Looks like yes. Just earlier overnight U.S. time, it was created.
I'll have a look at this today.
Okay, thank you, Girish. And then there are 3 unassigned items: removed incorrect in-band implementation, VLAN 4000 from Flow Decomposer. Let's see. This was removed in the VOLTHA 1.7 Flow Decomposer in this patch. Looks like it's Sarah reported this.
Yeah, I did. It's a small thing. It's you know, I'll get to it if I can, but you don't have to worry too much about it. It's not causing any problems. That's why it's not marked as a bug.
Okay.
It's just an improvement. On that note, why are all the error package things marked as bugs? Aren't they also just improvements?
Like this one, Volta 2639?
Yeah,
Well,
but
yes
couple
and
of-
no. Yes and no. It is an improvement, but it's also, I don't know why it's marked, but we mark it as a task as you want. It's just not everybody, not every, because where it's positioned now, it can cause import loops if you try to import into certain things. So is it a task, it is an improvement, or, you know, bug, whatever.
Okay.
Okay, the next item was 2622, test concurrent devices still failing intermittently. Kent reported this.
Yes.
Is this a unit test issue?
Yes, I haven't looked at it much. I would just I decided that whenever I saw a Jenkins fail and then pass with a recheck, I would just sort of report the general reason. So I haven't looked into it, but this is probably related to the one Scott's working on.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
I think this was one of the ones I was seeing pop up that I described when I was looking at
which is
those timeouts.
Okay.
Does that make it a duplicate, or how's this? Yeah.
I'm going to link it to.
Yeah, technically it's a different one than the one I was looking at. But I think Ken said he thought that maybe just increasing the timeout would be sufficient to
for this
fix it.
specific case, that's increasing the timeout, because the timeout is like we're talking about like 10 milliseconds to run a number of things. So in Jenkins, chances are it's slower to just timeout.
Okay.
Okay, so I linked those two tickets. I guess Scott and Kent take a look at that as you see the need. The next item was 2177, using single terminology to refer to KPI or PM metrics. So this is, I think, a language issue. Nagachitan, are they on?
Naga has left the project.
Okay.
Um,
So this looks like it's just.
It seems to me that might make. Oh, there is a patch. Okay.
Yeah. Or it's related to the patch. This is a comment made by Ken back in October. And so about whether this is the package names for performance metrics or KPIs.
Yeah, I doubt if we have someone to work on it right now.
Okay.
To be honest, I mean, I'm all for moving this to the future.
Okay, I'm going to move it to future.
I imagine this would break APIs too, so
Yeah,
I don't think we want to
right.
at this point anyway.
Right.
Okay, I'll move it to the future. And then the next item, 2401, RW core errors when deleting an OLT. Sanity test deletes the OLT as the last step. Test passes, but there are these log messages.
Yeah, I haven't really taken a look at this one yet.
When was
there was
this
some
created?
conversation of pardon?
When was this created? I don't see the date.
Andy created
this is a duplicate. There was a similar test. Is the OLT, right?
No, the point I'm trying to make is if it was a long time ago and we have worked a lot on deleting OLTs properly recently.
No, this was, I think, things came in the wrong order. So after you hit a delete, there still came an indication or something, and the device was already deleted. It had to do with concurrency and ordering, so I believe. And so this isn't necessarily an error. It was just, hey, things, you know, the code didn't really remember that, hey, I just deleted this, so of course you're not going to be able to access it. I need to look at this. It, again, didn't cause any functionality to break. I just haven't had a chance to look at it yet.
This is I saw it. I had a duplicate bug a little while ago, and we ultimately closed it as I'm not sure if it's listed. We'd ultimately closed it because we're not really ready to fix it. And it's sort of future, but it's sort of, it's such a minor thing. It's just a logging issue. It's not an actual error per se.
The problem is if I'm an operator and I see error in the log,
Yes.
I think bad.
So Kent, can you find that duplicate and try to link it to this error and then close whichever one is redundant?
Okay. I'll find it.
Thank you, Kent. Alrighty, and then the next item is 2097. Updated adapter registration does not overwrite vendor or version information.
Yeah, I started to look at this a couple different times. You would thought this one would be a simple fix, but it turns out not. So what happens, let's say I register version 1 of the adapter, and then I want to do an upgrade. So I shut down the adapter and start version 2 of the adapter. When the new version of the adapter registers, the core says, oh, I already have this adapter, and doesn't bother to update any of the information associated with it. And you would think that'd just be a real easy fix, but it turns out not. So I had several starts at this and then got pulled off.
So since we are going to deal with upgrades in the next release, is it fair to move this to future as well?
If we are not going to deal with any change in the adapter, which means to release a bug fix for the adapter with the new version, if we're not going to do any of that, yeah, I guess this could be pushed to future.
Yeah, I think upgrades needs to be handled more carefully. And I don't think we'll get to that in 2.3. So I vote for making it future.
Again, that means for 2.3, there's no bug fix without restart of VOLTHA.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know if the people that are going to quote unquote put it in production are okay with that.
Well, so that's the thing, right? 2.3 is not going into production, I don't think. We don't even, not all the features are in there.
All right. I guess we can move it to future, but
Okay, I've moved it to future. Is the issue that it's just it identifies based on like the serial number of the adapter or some other criteria, and then it doesn't update?
it basically identifies as the name of the adapter and doesn't update the data, but it's not just as simple as updating the data. I think there's some link deeper in the code that I haven't discovered yet. Because again, it's also been the case that when I pushed the new adapter, even if I could get the data updated, so it reports the new data, it wouldn't actually talk to that adapter.
So it's not just a cosmetic versioning information; it's actually a functionality issue when you update.
There seems to be, and I'm not exactly sure where the check is yet, but yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. Thank you, David. And this is the last item. VOLTHA 2102, OpenOL new adapter should update its Kubernetes ready state to false when it loses connectivity to its required services. This is a status check in Kubernetes.
I thought this was done already.
This was done for the OpenOLT and for the cores. I don't know if it's done for Python.
Okay.
Yeah, it is being worked upon. So I think Neha is already working on it. You can probably change it to in progress.
Okay. It's been updated to be in progress.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Thanks.
I'm going to refresh the page. We're now down to 24 issues, which is great. We got through the entire stabilization not done list, and we've marked a bunch of things as verify.
This one of the issue which I think got skipped because of probably reordering is 2520.
2520. Bring back the deleted ONU by disabling and enabling the OLT doesn't work. And
So
this
if
is-
possible, we can just spend 1 minute on this. So I was checking with Hardik today that after his fix, I think if it has got resolved, but I tested it just some time back, a few hours back, and it's still there. I just wanted to understand, I think the behavior as I'm seeing this, is it correct or not? So what I'm actually seeing is that once we have a OLT came up and the ONU is also active and which works fine, but when the ONU is getting disabled and deleted, right? The flow on the OLT is not getting deleted, corresponding to the ONU. So there is a right the EA pole flow on the OLT, which is basically taking everything coming from the ONU and passing it to controller, that doesn't get deleted, and that probably is also affecting that when the ONU comes back next time, it is not able to push any flows into it.
Okay, so I'm actually working on a set of guidelines for a number of tasks that are all sort of related and all have an effect, because these are things that get reported up to ONOS, right? So whether it's OF agent restart or soft reboot or hard reboot or deleting an OLT or disabling and enabling an OLT, all of these have, we need to have clear design guidelines for what is the thing that we should expect to see. And right now I'm seeing all kinds of behavior. So I'm trying to write it up, and we'll be ready to present it next all VOLTHA call next Tuesday, right? And then we need to, I'll probably send it out sooner so people can take a look before I discuss it next Tuesday. And the hope is that, that's what we execute on, because right now, there's plenty of things that are happening that are just simply incorrect. Okay, so just hold off on this. If you see the comments that I've put below on this particular Jira, also I actually don't think this is that high priority, the whole disabling and enabling an OLT in the first place.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, let's not talk much more about it until I've gone through my investigations and I've written it down and present it next week. Okay.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I just want to actually come to that. Should I probably look at that? But yeah, as you're saying, I think we can probably hold on.
Yeah,
to
let's
this
hold
as well.
on till I do the full analysis.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks.
Okay, great. Well, that's everything that's, we've gone through the entire stabilization brigade. Are there any other topics?
Zach, does anyone need this bridge that we are on? We are over 9 o'clock, right?
Yeah, we're over 9 o'clock. I don't think we do.
Okay.
Are there other topics we need to discuss?
Well, one thing we could have done is now gone and look at the bugs list and seen what belongs in stabilization or not.
Okay, we can do that. So this is the bugs list. Do we want to go through the triage ones first and then through the bugs?
Well, triage needs to go through triage really to determine whether if it's a bug or not. That belongs in stabilization. I would look at the ones that are not marked stabilization and see if it.
Okay. Do we have a list of those?
It's right here. It's on the. Some have labels and some don't, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
In the last column.
Right. So let's go through these. Are we going to skip the triage ones?
Yeah, you can skip those.
Okay, so VOLTHA 2690 DT workflow broken with recent commits and OLT adapter, finding the root cause and fix the issue. This looks like it needs.
Okay.
Do we have? Does anyone have comments on this? It looks like it was created 5 hours ago.
Yeah, this is Amit. I can speak for it. So basically what we are seeing is with the latest changes in the OLT adapter, the flow for pbit0 is failing, installing at BAL. So we're trying to look into what the issue is, but we created the Jira just to track this.
Okay, so this is from Girish's change, right? For multiple. flows. Okay, so
Yeah.
you're looking into it. Fine.
Yeah, we're looking at it.
So this is more like triage itself.
Okay, so I'll add the triage tag to this. The next item, 2669, sharing type for a lock ID and gemport ID pools is wrong.
Yeah,
Barak,
That's
a BAL brigade thing. You don't have to mark it as stabilization.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to go back on the previous bug pbit 0. So there was a change on the OpenLT agent too. So did you guys use the new OpenLT agent with this new OpenLT adapter?
Yeah, I think we're using the latest agent, yeah.
Okay. Let me know if you need any help from me.
Sure, sure.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Okay. The next item was BBSim Camp Power Cycle an ONU. This looks like it's BBSim Brigade.
Yeah, you can skip that.
Okay. Next is stabilization. We covered VOLTHA 2552. Off agent crashes with any flows. This is Andrea. There's a merged patch for this. This I think is related to the changes for the DT workflow with the VLAN any tags.
Yeah, all of his changes regarding any were merged this morning, so this may be done.
Okay. All right, should I mark this as done?
Let him verify that and let Andrea mark it as done.
Okay. The next few items are stabilization, then triage. The next item that isn't one of those is enable profiling on the OpenOLT adapter.
Why is this a bug?
I'm not sure why this is a bug.
Matteo? Matteo's gone. I would change this into a task or an issue or something.
Yeah, I'm still here. I think I created it with the wrong type. It's definitely not a bug.
Okay, it's been changed to a task. The next few items are all stabilization. 2439, unprovisioning the subscriber too quickly after ONU disable breaks the subscriber workflow. Yurish, do you have comments on this?
Yeah, this was an issue that we were seeing probably to do with the timing on scheduling of the OMCA tasks.
It looks like
We didn't really debug much into this, and
so it looks like the last time this was updated was the beginning of January. Can we triage that and have it make sure that it's still an issue?
Yeah.
Yeah, this might be worth
sure.
retesting because
Yes.
the about 3.2 changes may have had an effect on this as well.
Okay.
It's really difficult to reproduce this. I mean, to time and reproduce this issue, but we can try and see if it really exists with the new agent as Matt suggested.
Okay, thanks, Girish. The next item is 2593. This is Scott's item. Too many ONUs on a PON causes an adapter crash. So this is BBSim.
Yeah. So this was originally a misconfiguration of mine. I put 256 ONUs on a single PON, which was not something we'd intended to do. And I found that things broke internally. So this is something to look into if we ever expect that configuration to actually happen, or we want to know why it happened, but it seems like low priority to me.
Is this a 2.3 issue or is it a future issue?
I mean, it's related to scale. So actually, I would say that, there's things in scale that are being worked on that we should revisit. You can put it in in that epic and probably put it to future because, in scale's going to go beyond 2.3 anyway.
Yeah, I think we should just put a check in BBSim because I don't think in a physical environment you can attach that many ONU to a single PON.
Well, actually, I think by the standard, the standard is 256.
Right, but we start the ONU ID from 1 instead of 0. So you can only get to 255 in reality.
Okay.
Yeah, something felt like a simple overflow that happened. It was kind of my intuition when we did this. So it could very well be that 0-1 thing.
Okay, it's been moved to future. The next item, 2615, can attach to dev management daemon if it started with.
Yeah, that's a Val thing. That's a Val thing. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Alrighty. The next item, OLT agent, different packet stats retrieval. This is Dilip and Jason. Is this also a Val issue?
I haven't seen this.
Yeah, even I haven't seen this. It says Escapes Brigade.
Right, but it's talking about a Broadcom CSP and.
Yeah, there were some bugs Dilip found, and I think, he referred stuff to Jason to look at in Val. I have not noticed this in a while, so I would have to revisit it to try to remind myself of what's going on.
Okay. Is this should this be a 2.3 item and also still assigned to Jason? Looks like he's commented later on in the
I'll talk to Jason.
I think this
about
saying
this.
what he's saying is that it should be there in BAL 3.4, and we're not moving to BAL 3.4 until the next release. So you can mark that at future.
Okay. And Girish, you were going to bring it up with him?
Yeah, I'll talk to him about this.
Okay. Alrighty. And then VOLTHA 2627, issues with soft reboot of OLT.
Yeah, that's part of the whole working through the soft reboot, hard reboot, OF agent restart, delete OLTs, all that. So
we should link this to the other one. I'll link it after this meeting. And then I think these last two are stabilization. So this is the last item, 2089.
That's also a BAL thing. So don't worry about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, look, our bug bounty is down to the 20s.
Yeah.
That's
okay. Well, that's that. We're now down to 26. Alrighty. Anything else we needed to review? Okay. It's just a little bit. It's like 15 minutes after the hour, so we'll give everyone time back. Thank you all for taking part in this, and we'll talk to everyone next week.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.